I stumbled across a trending video and I want to share it with you because what was shared is critical to understand. The Florida condo market is collapsing. Hey, yo, pause. I should probably reconsider my words. And really what I should say is the Florida condo market is a disaster. The prices have skyrocketed and the insurance premiums to insure the buildings has gone through the roof. And to get the properties inspected and up to code and where they need to be in order for them to be safe is staggering. And yet most folks don't even know it's an issue. So today I'm going to do a deep dive into what's happening, because at this point, I don't even know if Florida condo owners can survive these changes. But before I get too carried away into what's happening in the condo market, I want to shout out my friend Paul Likens, who put out a video talking about this exact same topic. And rather than cover the exact same thing that he did, but I absolutely want to encourage you to check out his channel, check out that video. I'll link it up above or in the links below so that you can. And more importantly, I'm hoping to be able to get him on the phone with me right now so I can ask him some questions and he can tell you himself. Florida has been a retirement haven for many folks for decades. So going back in history, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s, you could buy a cheap condo on the beach or close to it and live the rest of your life on a very modest income. And it's definitely not an accident that Florida is known to be heaven's waiting room. But the unfortunate reality is that many of the folks who bought those condos in the past are being priced out of those condos today because the insurance and the maintenance and the upkeep of those condos is astronomical. And new Florida laws dictate that you must have that building up to the current code and inspected immediately, or the government will shut down the condo, period. And while Paul did an amazing job doing a deep dive into what the legislation and what some of the structural requirements are, I don't need a structural engineer or a lawmaker or a policymaker or the government to tell me that there's a much bigger impediment to anything getting done that has nothing to do with the policies and procedures. And it's got everything to do with the condo board itself, the condo owners themselves. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But the reality is, up and down the coast of Florida, on both the east and the west coast, you are going to find thousands of older condo buildings, and they are constantly being beaten down by the ocean, by the salt, by the wind, by the heat, by the sun, by the rain, by the hurricanes, by nature, every minute of every day, 24/7, all the time. And while Boca Raton has done an exceptional job of getting in front of what the code is, getting in front of the legislation, getting in front of the safety concerns, and taking care of the integrity of those buildings by a wide margin, Boca Raton is an outlier. Boca Raton is one of the most affluent places to live that there is in the United States. And almost everybody who lives in Boca has a lot of money. They have the means to be able to afford the massive assessments that the condo boards are going to require in order to be up to code. But the Boca Raton condo market is a small slice of Florida, and most other cities and municipalities don't have the same bankroll. And the residents who live there don't have anywhere near as much money. What's going on, my man?
I was out shooting a video. I'm going to walk over to my car and get it so it's not as windy or noisy.
Outstanding. I love it. So I wanted to ask you, well, first of all, your video is a masterclass. It's incredibly valuable content. Let's pretend for a second, Paul, we got a magic wand that we can wave and we get everybody in the same room that owns a condo or is part of a condo. All the owners are there and they're in the room and they're open-minded to the assessments that they're definitely going to get hit with to bring these condos up to speed. What do you think the odds are you can get them to agree on anything?
What are the odds that you could put 50 dogs and 50 cats in a room together and they all get along? I mean, no. It's. Have you been to a board meeting? I've seen some on video, and they're not always fun, and pretty much nobody ever agrees.
So even if we lived in a perfect world where everything was solvable, the odds of these people not being their worst enemy, being their own worst enemy, is about 0%, right?
Yeah, I mean, because there's always someone who doesn't. I mean, I live in an HOA, and my Facebook page, man, there's just like people going after the nasty comments about people on the board, and then when some of the board people do respond, it's never cordial. It's just not. Doesn't seem to be. I don't know for all of them, but I know on our Facebook page it can be pretty ugly.
No, if you want to know how crazy your neighbors are, just go to an HOA meeting.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but I've seen some crazy stuff pop up, so I stay out of those.
Me too. All right, listen, I appreciate your time. You killed it on that video, and I hope a lot more people watch it. It's a tremendous value.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate it, man. Keep going, and boom to you, brother.
All right, man. Good talking to you. So let's pretend that you can get all the things done that need to be done. And just so you know, getting an inspector or an engineer out to lay eyes on the building and do a structural inspection is not an easy thing. Getting somebody reliable to do anything these days is damn near impossible. But it's not impossible because Boca Raton has already done it. But if you don't have the means to be able to afford the thing that you need, well then chances are you're not going to get what you want. And maybe somebody's going to wave the magic wand of bailout from the state, and maybe the government or the municipality or the taxpayers are going to wave a magic wand and deliver the funds, which I don't think is very likely to happen. It's more likely that we are looking down the barrel of an impending condo crisis, which will create forced sales and drive prices downward. Because when the economical musical chair stops and you don't have a seat, you get nada, which is no bueno for any of the people who own those condos. And I don't think most can survive it. And it's kind of funny because when I went to visit my friend Kevin, and please check out his channel, Kevin 24/7, check out his wife, Michelle, Squirrel Tribe. At Squirrel Tribe Life, they put out tremendous content, but they're up in North Florida. They're in the Destin market. And when I went to visit them, I was shocked how old these buildings, these condos on the waterfront in Destin are. And naturally, both of them asked me, what do I think is going to happen to that market? And I immediately told them that if those condos don't have the funds to be able to reinforce and bring the buildings up to code, well, then that market is going to crash. And it is. But so is every other condo market that's out there too. And if you were to travel up and down the state, up the East and West Coast, you're going to be shocked at how old these massive condo buildings are. And yes, there are some outliers in Miami which have brand new, exceptional condos that are built for safety and luxury and are extremely expensive. I'm not worried about those buildings at all. I'm worried about the owners that live in the older buildings, which are basically everywhere. And if you've ever been to a condo meeting, or if you've ever been part of an HOA, or God forbid you've ever been on the board of the condo or on the board of the HOA, which I did at one point earlier in my life, only to quickly understand that it's the most thankless and miserable job on planet Earth, so I quickly got out of that position. But I learned real quickly, getting anybody to agree on anything is damn near impossible, especially when it relates to money. And many condos, at least in my market, at least in Palm Beach County, most of those buildings are 90% unoccupied most of the year. Most of the people who live there are snowbirds, and they visit the condo once, maybe twice a year, which is just a long way of getting everybody in the same place at the same time and to agree to terms of an assessment is highly unlikely, because most people duck their heads in the sand and run away when they know there's a massive bill coming. And there is a massive bill coming. And I hope that the people who are involved will work together and unify to solve the problem, because I've yet to find a problem that isn't solvable, at least as it relates to real estate. And if I can help you with anything, please reach out, because who you hire